Alert, now detecting hostiles. Warning, have detected heavily armored hostile approaching.
Hello and welcome to another Division video. Yes, in this video I will talk about a weapon that's really underrated in my opinion, or at least I don't see it that often in PvE. And yes, for me personally, this one here, which you see on the screen, is for me personally the most or one of the most underrated weapons when it comes to PvE content, and I will talk about why a little bit later in this video. And of course I will give you a glimpse on my favorite PvE build at the moment beside Tactician. So let's go quickly to the shooting range so I can talk a little bit more about this build and the weapon itself. So let's go here, then let's make quickly a change here. I crafted quickly another one, and yes, many of you may say, and I fully agree, this is because of two factors, not the best weapon you can use. First of all, of course, the low RPM, as you see, just 500 rounds per minute, so really low. That's really a disadvantage. And the other one, if you go to character sheet, go down, then you see the other disadvantage is the reload time. Really long reload time. But why is this weapon so good in my opinion for PvE? This is two other reasons. So let's have a look again on the character sheet. And the two reasons is this one here, headshot damage. You have a higher headshot damage compared to the assault rifles. And the second one is this one here, a further optimal range. So you can use this weapon instead of a sniper as well for most situations. And yes, especially for me as on console, it's easier to control for me personally compared to using an AR. That makes it really easier, user-friendly I would say, compared to an assault rifle. And of course the huge advantage of this weapon is the big mag size. So you see two unmodded weapons, the lightweight and the classic M60, 100 rounds on the lightweight, on the M60 of course, and 30 without an extended mag on the M4. And yeah, let's quickly have a look from the damage perspective. And I don't have a special damage talent on my gloves, as you see, it's just SMG. And of course you could use both as well. So you could use an M4 and an M60, but now I'm fully stacked, and if you see the damage 78 and 94, let's say 79 and 105, and with the M4 it's 53 and crit 73. So let's have a look without crit, 53 and 79. 53, 79, I think it's a huge difference. I know the weapon RPM is much higher, but from the damage wise, if you can land headshots, that's really a huge advantage. And of course you could even spec your weapon into headshot damage on the muzzle and on the scope as well. But I'll quickly show you how I modded this one, or how I run this usually at the moment. I usually have two M60s equipped, and yeah, of course you don't need that much bullets because every bullet deals more damage, and I modded them a little bit special. Of course, I told you one of the biggest disadvantages is the reload time. It's over 5 seconds if you have this in mind from before, from the character sheet. And that's why I have reload speed on the holster to increase this furthermore. And I do have two weapons which you see here. which I'm using with this build. And then if you have a look on the character sheet again, you see a little bit higher headshot damage from this, the weapon attachments I'm using. It's not spec'd fully into headshot damage, so this is a thing you could do as well if you land your shots really constantly on the head. But yeah, my aim is not the best one, so that's why I spec'd a little bit to crit. And the crit, you see, it's not too high, but yeah, anyway. So this is something you could change as well. Spec more into headshot damage and you will do even more damage. And the reload time you see here, it's over 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds slower than before. And this is the reason, the holster, the first one, and the second reason. I spec'd this weapon with reload speed on the hand stop, and I have reload speed as well on the mech and max size rate of fire, so this is almost a god roll for me. Reload speed is not maxed out, so you could go even lower, but 3.3 seconds for a LMG, I think this is pretty dope, I would say. And in the gameplay you will see at the end it works pretty well. So I was using exactly this setup for soloing Grand as well, and I matched up with some groups or randoms to do these missions as well, and I can say it works pretty well. The second weapon I'm using with this build is this one here. This one here, I did a miss here. Here is the right one. That's why I have different colors to know which weapon I have equipped. And this one here, you see I have an extended mech. On this one is fully spec'd into damage, so ferocious, destructive and competent. And the first one you see is almost the same, ferocious, destructive but determined. So usually I run the I have not the right word in my mind, this one here, tackling, and that I have the tackling back as fast as possible. I do have determined on one of my guns. And this works pretty well, so I can use my tackling about 4 or 5 times for each mission. And if I pop tack, of course I use this one here, this baby, without determined, so as to deal as much damage as possible. And yeah, that's really insane. Just to show you quickly, if you pop tack with this baby, the fire rate, that's really awesome. And with Striker, with the stability, it's pretty good to land your shots. And yeah, the LMGs gets more stable, and you see with my controller I'm still not perfect. But even in a further distance, it's really good to control, and that's really a huge advantage in my opinion. And yeah, if you pop tack, that's really dope to use these weapons here. So that's why one of the most underrated weapons in my opinion. Just quickly, a quick glance over the build. You see the main stats above, and of course you could even spec 1 gear piece more into firearms to deal a little bit more damage than I do right now. But because I was using this setup for a solo mission, then I prefer to have a little bit more toughness. But otherwise, just swap 1 gear piece out into firearms. You see I'm running the purple mods that were recently on sale, the 4% electronics. And electronics, of course, to reach 3.8, the requirements for ferocious and competent to can unlock these 2 talents. Then the chest piece is rolled into skill haste, health, ammo capacity. This one here is on stamina. Then the mask is enemy armor damage, damage to elites. Again, stamina and the same mod, of course. Then the knee pads, health, stamina and damage to elites, the most important ones for this here. And you see it's not optimized, so I could even use this one here. And usually I have this equipped, but as I said, because I was using this solo, and I prefer to have a little bit more stamina. But this is my setup I use mainly if I group up with some other people, just to deal a little bit more damage here on this one. Then the backpack is skill power, ammo capacity and firearms. Of course you can run here health as well, but sometimes I prefer to have a little bit a stronger heal. Yeah, sometimes I run this build with 2 heals, self-heal and healing box, and then I like to have a little bit a stronger heal, and that's why I prefer here skill power. The gloves rolled into LMG, damage, enemy arm damage and skill haste. And yeah, skill haste is really important as well, because you have competent, and I usually have the flashbang sticky, and if you have skill haste, then you can just use them more frequently. So that's why I prefer here skill haste over another stat. And the holster, as I showed you before, it's rolled into reload speed, And the performance mod, yeah, it's first it's self-heal. To be honest, there are not really many good ones to use. I mean, you could use the the sticky radius mods, works as well. The healing rate on the box don't make that much sense, that the radius as well. So that's why I have just the self-heal, because if I run with 2 heals, to have a stronger heal here as well. So this is it about the weapon talents and the gear. The character sheet I showed you already with the really low reload speed, the last one, the abilities. As I said, this is really personal preference. Sometimes I run 2 types of first aid, self-heal and the box. And then usually, of course, this one here, the booster shot to deal a little bit more damage, and depending on the mission, the immunizer or the life support. And I usually run the tackling because not that many people run this in a group setup, but it's so fun to use the M60 with the tackling. That's insane, so I can really recommend this. And one of the best talents here, or not, yeah, skills I would say, is the flashbang sticky for PvE. So that's a huge advantage. And just a little side note, so if you run flashbang sticky and one of your group members run the airburst or the flame turret, it's really annoying, because sometimes if you flashbang an enemy then and the fire turret starts burning as well, they just run around. And usually if you just use flashbang, they stand still and you can shoot them really easily in the head, and many shots in the head. So they go down really easy, as you will see in the gameplay at the end. But this is really kind of personal preference. Then the talents I'm using with this build, as usual, crit save and strike back. If it's not a tech build, that works pretty well. Then I run precision because I don't have a pulse, as I was using this solo to deal a little bit more damage, and it's pretty high, 12.5% crit chance and 25 crit damage. It's pretty a lot. And I prefer to have one is none, to have even more bullets. Yes, I try to aim mainly on the head with these guns. They're really good to control, and the longer you shoot, the better usually. But of course, if you would like to have some more survivability, just choose or change this to on the move. Yeah, this is at the moment really one of my preferred setups for PvE content, and one of the most underrated weapons you see in my hands, at least in my opinion. So really a recommendation, give it a try, and yeah, test it out for yourself. Then thanks a lot for watching. I hope this was useful and informative for you. If so, then don't forget to give this video a like, to really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below. Have fun, happy grinding, take care, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Tango in the open. Come on.
on!